Hello and welcome to week 5 in behavior management. And this week is, as you probably notice in the course book, a really small chapter. I probably need to do something about that. This is actually a pretty important chapter, has a little bit more to do with the philosophy of what we're doing, what we want to make a distinction of in this particular week. And there won't be necessarily a video that I'm going to do for this one because it's more of that philosophy. Is we want to kind of transform the idea of behavior management as a way of eliminating negative behaviors and move it more toward the development of functional skills. Now, the philosophy of that is that an individual who's acting out is acting out because they lack a skill set to deal with whatever it is that's going on that's more appropriate and functional. So if an individual is lost in the class content and they begin acting out, one of the reasons that we can assume they do that is they don't have anything else in their behavioral repertoire to draw on to deal with frustration and being lost. So therefore, if we switch the perspective of behavior management in terms of not necessarily getting rid of the acting out behavior, but teaching the actual skills that the individual needs in order to function better when they're feeling or experiencing certain things, behavior management works much better. Throughout this course, you'll hear me say, or if I haven't said it, you're hearing it now, that reinforcement works better than punishment. Gaining a new behavior is easier than getting rid of an unwanted behavior. When you get rid of an unwanted behavior, the purpose and reason and function of that behavior, in this instance that I'm talking about, to get away from an uncomfortable situation, is still there. You still haven't given them the tools they need to function better when they're feeling that way. So this is going to relate to functional analysis when we look at that later in the class, when we have this idea of why is a person doing this behavior. If we can then teach them a more functional way to do that, then that's where our behavior management is focused on, creating that behavior, teaching that behavior. Behavior management isn't the punishment system. It's a teaching system. However, we need to do it in behavior management terms because up until that moment, if you think about the child sitting in that class acting out has worked. The law of behavior management says if the behavior is continuing, that means it's being reinforced. So, this is a negative reinforcement example. The child is sitting in a room, they're uncomfortable. What do I need to do to remove that stimulus? I'll act out, and it works. They get taken out of the situation, they get to do something else, whatever it is that's worked out for that child to get out. Even if it's punishment, it's better than the feeling that they had of being overwhelmed and lost in the class. However, if we can find an appropriate behavior set that the child can engage in order to draw attention with the teacher, in order to get extra explanations, some sort of way that they can communicate with their caregivers that I'm lost and I need some help right now. Those skills are the ones that will replace the other skill. We have to recognize the other skill is stronger in their behavior repertoire because it's worked up until now. As they approach that crossroads, I am feeling lost and overwhelmed. I can do the old behavior, which I'm comfortable with, I'm good at it, I can act out, I can do that, or I can do this new behavior that my teacher wants me to do. Let's add some extra incentive to make that choice instead of this one, and that's where behavior management comes in. So I'm having you take a look at kind of functional skills that we would teach: self-care, ADL, social skills, those kinds of things that will enable a child or a person or an adult, your own behavior plan may enable you or the child to function better in the environments they're in. And again, the real deep philosophy of this is we're trying to get our head wrapped around Behavior management is not a way just to get rid of negative behaviors. It is primarily, and it is best at actually creating functional skills. The reading is very short. I think I probably spoke now more than the reading in the actual chapter. There's just a quiz. There's no discussion on this. As I look at this, I know I need to expand on this a little bit for the next time I teach this, but there is the philosophy. What I just gave you, that's what I'm really after. Read this material, internalize it. It will come up again when we get into the actual chapter of functional analysis, where we take time to try and figure out why is the child doing this and what's a better skill that they can use and develop to deal with that situation. So have a great week. Get that chapter reading done. It won't take you very long. And get that quiz done, and that will be it for this week. Notice there haven't been any discussions for a little bit, and that's fine. I'm going to be grading attendance in terms of reporting attendance based on your completion of the quizzes. But I think in the next week we have some discussions, so we'll be able to have some interaction going on again in the class. So see you this week in that quiz, and good luck.